What is up, heroes? This is Midnight Zero, and welcome to another team building video. This is week 4. We are going up against Elif, coach of the Selangor Staraptors. Yes, that is the name of the team. And as always, I'm going to run through his team really quickly, so you guys know what I'm prepping for, what I think about the mons that he could potentially bring, and then of course show you guys the team that I prepped for this particular match. We are going into this match 2-1, and overall having learned quite a bit about the metagame. And about hyper offense in general. But without further ado, let's hop into Elif's mega pick, which is actually Mega Latios, which is really a strong mon. It hasn't seen a lot of usage in OU and is kind of considered one of the trashier megas, but really when you look at its stats, there's a lot it can do. Like a decent amount of bulk on the specially and both specially and physically. It can tank some hits in addition to having access to boosting moves like Calm Mind to boost that ridiculous base 160 special attack. In addition to like solid move pool, and it's got recovery with Roost. It's got access to defog for hazard support. It's got Toxic to deal with bulkier mons, but of course Calm Mind with Bolt Beam, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Hidden Power, of course Draco Meteor, which hits super hard, Psychic and Psyshock, both stabs. Hit those physically boosters. So special walls can't boost up with Calm Minds alongside if it's running Psyshock. It's a really difficult mon to take down, and it poses a huge threat, especially with its speed tier. Next mon, Tapu Bulu. I'm really not super familiar with Tapu Bulu. I've been watching quite a bit of the metagame since the league started, and this thing's got a solid attack stat. Doesn't hit such a great speed tier, but it's got a decent amount of bulk, but more importantly, grassy terrain, boosting its stab grass type Woodhammer and Horn Leech, which is given a monstrous offensive presence. So this thing is scary to prep for. I really need to watch out for Tapu Bulu. The next mon is Mew, and I personally like Mew a lot, given Chicago Mews, but also Mew is very versatile. You really never know what to expect. I know Elif likes to run an Amnesia Baton Pass set, and typically a more support Mew, but he can run anywhere from Stealth Rock, Will-O-Wisp, Knockoff, Taunt, Defog, Psychic, Expert Belt with like Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Grass Knot, a whole bunch of different types of sets for Mew, and it's got solid, base 100 everything. So the potential is all there. The next mon we got is Rookodile, and I actually used Rookodile in the co-op league and really enjoyed using it. It's a solid knockoff user. It can be a bulkier Stealth Rock setter in addition to a Scarf Moxie user. It oftentimes finds like opportunities to force switches with Intimidate. And yeah, it's got two great stab moves, Earthquake and Knockoff, both hitting hard and rendering, or at least hurting whatever decides to switch in, whether it's losing their item or taking a pretty strong Earthquake. You can run Banded Crocodile to just smack some things. You can run Scarf to patch up for that mediocre speed. And yeah, after a Moxie boost, this thing becomes a monster. So definitely got to be careful with that, especially with Pursuit. The next mon we got is Darmanitan. Similar to Rookodile, this thing typically runs Scarf, but it can also just hit like a truck if it runs Band. Look at that base 140 attack stat. Its ability is also Sheer Force, so moves that have secondary effects have their damage boosted by, I think, 20%, maybe 30%. I think it's 20% though, which means you've got a stab base 120 Flare Blitz coming off a base 140 attack with a Sheer Force boost. You throw a Choice Band on that, you can throw a Life Orb on that, no matter what, that hits hard. Typically Banded or Scarf, it can typically run U-Turn, Stone Edge, Earthquake, Superpower, Flare Blitz. This thing just hits hard. That's about all there is to it. The best answers I really have for it are Scarfers of my own. The next mon we got, Galvantula. Now this thing is what really hurts me too because of Sticky Webs. This thing is pretty much only really useful for its Sticky Webs. It's got a decent special attack stat, not anything to be proud of, but its ability Compound Eyes makes it its accuracy on a lot of its moves a lot better, meaning it can opt to run Thunder over Thunderbolt, giving it a huge special attack boost, whereas a lot of mons will have higher base special attack but can only afford to run Thunderbolt as opposed to Thunder, which is so much stronger, and it's got a solid chance of paralysis. So typically you see Life Orb, Choice Specs, or Sash with Sticky Webs, which are really annoying for my team because hyper offense gets really slowed down by Sticky Webs, and if I get slowed down by Sticky Webs, my Scarfers become relatively useless in countering his own Scarf Mons, which is essentially how I'm going to counter them. So I've got to be very careful about Galvantula. Next Mon, Venusaur. Admittedly, Venusaur is a little lackluster in my opinion. It's a decently bulky Mon, heavily outclassed by its Mega Evolution, but it can run more offensive set with Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain, HP Fire, a Sun Sweeper with Chlorophyll to double its speed in the sun. It can run a bit more bulk. It's got decent spread bulk to tank hits and typing that allows it to take on a lot of fairy types and the like. So I don't know how much I expect to really see this given how just like hard hitting my team is, and Venusaur isn't dedicated enough of a wall to really withstand that kind of pressure, but you know, we'll see. Next Mon, Ambipom. I also used Ambipom in the co-op league and I loved Ambipom. It's got, you know, decent attack stat and a solid speed tier, outspeeding a lot of threats to be able to hit them with its incredible move pool. It can run Iron Tail, Fire Punch, Fake Out, Return, Brick Break, Aerial Ace, Knockoff. Like, it's got a ton of different types of moves that allow it to kind of fill a lot of coverage holes. So it's like, oh, I'm weak to this particular Mon, Ambipom can run a move that, you know, hits it hard. In addition, this thing also has a super strong Fake Out. Technician boosted Stab, normal Fake Out coming off that attack stat, sometimes with a Silk Scarf or a Band or Life Orb. Or not usually banned, but it can hit really hard, getting a lot of chip damage, you know, Fake Out, and then you turn out because it's faster, and playing a lot of mind games. It can break sashes and the like, so I'm really actually pretty scared about it, especially because it outspeeds Gengar, can hit it with a knockoff. So I really need to play carefully around Ambipom. The next Mon we got is Gallade. Gallade I'm not too afraid of. It's decently bulky and it's got a solid attack stat, in addition to access to moves like Shadow Sneaks and Headbutt, Close Combat, which do threaten a lot of my Mons. So I am kind of scared of it. It runs Bulk Up, and you know, it's also got access to SD. Its speed tier is pretty mediocre though, so it can be and often is outsped by threats that can hit it on its special or physical side, and you know, depending on how strong they are, can take it out. Of course, I have to watch out because, you know, Gengar is weak to Shadow Sneak, which would not be so good. Next Mon, Vanilluxe. Vanilluxe, admittedly not too threatening. Typically, it's got a decent special attack stat. It can run, you know, Scarf Blizzard or Specs Blizzard maybe if the team is slow. Okay defenses. Ice Stab is always, you know, very good offensively. Ice, of course, is a really bad defensive type though. So I'm not too worried about it. A lot of my Mons hit it really hard. And that's about all I really have to say about Vanilluxe. Next Mon is Miss Majus. I don't really know too much about Miss Majus, other than that it typically runs a relatively bulky, fast set that can run Culver Berry to take knockoffs, it can run Wisp, it can run Taunt to prevent bulkier Mons from setting up or the like, or beat walls to it potentially. And it can run Will-O-Wisp and Hex to hit pretty hard coming off a decent special attack stat. So that's about all I can really expect from Miss Majus. Next up is a Logan Golem. Now this thing is interesting. It's got a solid attack stat and really great defenses, not special defense though, but it always has to take hits pretty much. And it can't afford to take a lot of hits, especially in the league format where things can run Grass Knot, Hidden Power Ground, Water, etc. Coverage moves to outspeed and just KO Golem before it even gets the chance to attack. It does have a couple interesting abilities in Galvanize, which turns normal type moves into electric type moves and boosts their damage by 20%. So that's a way to hit hard with stuff like, I don't know, Facade or Return, and then it's also got access to Wild Charge, I think. So yeah, it can hit hard. It's also got access to Magnet Pull, making it a Steel type Trapper. That said, I don't think it has a lot of the moves to capitalize against a lot of Steel types, or in particular, Mega Scizor. So I don't think it'll be that useful for that purpose. And yeah, that's about all really a Logan Golem has to offer. It can run Sturdy set, you know, Sturdy Custap with Explosion, which becomes Stab Electric type and boosted Explosion. So it's a strong Explosion, you know, with rocks or something like that. But we'll see. The next Mon is Quagsire. Now Quagsire is such a weird Mon. When Stall was running around in OU in Gen 6, it got bumped up to OU and then, you know, knocked down to RU and then knocked down to PU again. Or NU, maybe. I think it skipped UU somewhere along the line though. Because it's a really good unaware Mon. It's got Recover, it can boost up its own defenses with Curse, even though it's got pretty lackluster stats. It's, you know, it doesn't really do a lot other than scald things to burn them and potentially curse up, recover, or toxic things, because it just beats setup mons generally, unless they're running grass coverage, which is very doable in the league format. So I'm not too worried about it. I think I can hit this thing hard enough while not getting hit hard back to beat it before it can really put in work. And so that is his team. What is his crystal? I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's bug or grass. Yes, he's running Grass Neomz, so I will need to be wary of that on a lot of his mons, but admittedly, I'm not too worried about Z crystals. And so in preparation, I was thinking about what mons I wanted to bring, and the first mon I decided on was Megazor. I'm so excited to use Megazor. Just looking at his team, nothing really takes a Bullet Punch that well. Bullet Punch does a lot, so I'm max attack adamant. I have just enough speed to outspeed some of his defensive mons. I believe it was, what exactly do I outspeed again? I think defensive Venusaur. Yeah, I outspeed defensive Venusaur so that at +2 after rocks, I OHKO it with a Bug Bite. Very niche, but I feel like it might be relevant, especially if it's running HP Fire. I don't want to risk that. So I decided to run that speed, and then the rest went into HP just for maximum bulk. Again, Bullet Punch does a ton of damage to everything on his team, and everything that doesn't take that does take a Bullet Punch well gets bodied by Bug Bite. And what else is really helpful about this is that naturally, without even a lot of bulk, I take on Rookodile pretty well. This thing, takes knock off like a champ. It takes Earthquake like a champ. Banded Earthquake, I think, does almost half to this Megazor, so I do beat it 1v1 technically. And I'm sure I'll find some opportunity to set up. Whether it's Mega Latios after a Draco. If it's not running Hidden Power Fire, it doesn't beat me 1v1. Yeah, so I'm thinking I'll find a lot of opportunities to potentially set up late game and then just sweep with Bullet Punch. If he goes into Quagsire, I need to weaken that, of course, ahead of time. I can weaken it with Bug Bite and then switch into something for momentum, etc., etc. But plays an important defensive role. Maybe even against Tapu Bulu as well, for the Bullet Punch or even Bug Bite, not a switch in. And brings a lot of offensive presence, which is not very surprising on a hyper offense team. Now the second mon, which immediately came to mind when looking at his team, was Gengar. We're running a hefty Life Orb Gengar, which is just max speed and max speed, timid nature, and then max special attack. This thing just hits hard. It just hits hard. Shadow Ball doing so much to Mega Latios and really anything on his team except for Rookodile. Rookodile doesn't, of course, takes Shadow Ball really well, and it does not, however, take Focus Blast. And what does, what's immune to Shadow Ball doesn't take Sludge Wave really well. And if I have the choice, Sludge Wave will do more damage, and it just hits everything so hard. So Gengar is going to be able to rip some holes in the opposing team this week, if I recall, if everything goes according to plan. I mean, it outspeeds a lot of his team. It 2-hit KOs everything on his team. Focus Blast, I don't like using Focus Blast. I hate it for the accuracy, but that's really the best option I had for Rookodile, especially given I have Revenge Killers, so that if it misses, it's not the end of the world. I do need to be careful about Rookodile. I remember team building with my own Rookodile against the team with Gengar, and I ran a Scarf set with Pursuit, which pretty much beat it every single time, unless it was like a Sash Gengar with Focus Blast or the like. So yeah, so I need to be very careful if he brings Rookodile to watch out for Pursuit. If I am going to die and I don't want to lose momentum by switching or sacking or trying to take a hit with something else, I can just go for Destiny Bond, knowing I outspeed a lot of his mons and taking him on down with me. If he has him on with something like Sucker Punch, I don't think a lot of his mons get Sucker Punch, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think, and he'll bring a Sucker Punch Bond, but if that were the case, I could run Destiny Bond for that. And one other thing I need to watch out for is Shadow Sneak from, what's it called, Gallade. So yeah, that's Gengar. The next mon, I was a little uncertain, but ultimately decided to bring Infernape. We're bringing a Choice Scarf Infernape with almost max speed. I actually wanted to outspeed, I think, Darmanitan. Yeah, Darmanitan. If it's Scarf Darmanitan. And that way I 2-hit KO with Close Combat. After rocks, I do a ton of damage. Put in range of one of my other Scarfers. which you haven't seen yet, or a Bullet Punch, which is really nice. U-turn there for momentum, and it does super effective damage to Mega Latios and Rookodile if they want to bring that in for the Intimidate, you know, playing really risky or something on like anticipating a Flare Blitz or the like. So yeah, this thing outspeeds a lot of his mons, can revenge kill it. I think 3-hit KOs Mega Latios even. It does like 30 to 40 Mega Latios with close combat. So this thing hits hard. And when it's not close combating, which it will be doing most of the time, it'll be U-turning. And if I don't want to risk losing the HP, I have options like Fire Punch. Flare Blitz hits super hard. Flare Blitz hits super hard. Let's get that music going again. I really like using Flare Blitz for the power, but if I don't want to risk the recoil, you know, if I don't want to lose one of my mons, I can go for Fire Punch to just do plenty of damage in the meantime. And, you know, it hits Tapu Bulu really hard. I don't need to hit that thing with Flare Blitz. If rocks have been up for a while and, you know, Venusaur's been weakened down, I can go for Fire Punch, that sort of thing. Close combat, I was thinking about running Grass Knot over Fire Punch just for Quagsire, but I figured I can wear that down in other ways. And my ability is Blaze because I don't need the extra Iron Fist boost, and if I Flare Blitz, I can put myself in Blaze range to hit something really hard with Flare Blitz, or if after a couple of rocks recoil turns, I can actually put myself in Blaze range so that Flare Blitz might be able to kill something, or Fire Punch can sweet late game or something like that. The next mon is the little bit of bulk I do have on my team, and it's Tapu Fini. We're running a max defense, very similar to last week. Surf, Moonblast, Calm Mind, and Defog set. There isn't really a lot to say here. This is to help out with Rookodile and Darmanitan, even though we take about half from a Choice Banded Flare Blitz, even though it's quadruply resisted by a max defense Tapu Fini, which is like crazy. But yeah, this thing is here to take physical hits and some of the special hits. It doesn't do a ton, but it's a switch into things like Quagsire even, a Logan Golem, Miss Majus, Vanilluxe, Galar, like even Ambipom if it's not running Thunder Punch, or like, you know, Silk Scarf or Life Orb Return maybe. So it helps out a lot with just switching into a lot of his mons. And on a lot of those mons, I can Calm Mind up, and then after that Calm Mind, I do a lot with Surf, I do a lot with Moonblast to almost everything on his team. And Defog is really important for webs. If he does bring webs, this is my only way of getting rid of them. And it would be very important for me to get rid of them. So, yeah, Galvantula really poses a threat. So I need to make sure that I lead off with something that can just definitely take it out in 2 hits at the very least, if it's not Sash. Or if it is Sash. And then once it's gone, I can afford to bring Tapu Fini at some point and just get a Defog off to get rid of those webs for good. It's running leftovers just to maximize its life. This also really helps out with Gengar because my only real threat was Shadow Sneak from Galar, and this would protect it from using that priority. I do need to be wary though that if I want to set up for a late game sweep with Scizor, I need to watch out for Bullet Punch because I can't be a Misty Terrain and use Bullet Punch. So that is Tapu Fini. The next mon we got is Omastar, and I was like looking at his team and I was like, Omastar, man, Omastar puts in a lot of work with Shell Smash set. You know, once it sets up, it hits really hard, but at the same time I need a Stealth Rocker. I want to be chipping away at his team so that I can set up for, you know, a Scarf Infernape sweep, a SD Scizor sweep, a Life Orb Gengar sweep even, maybe the next mon sweep. So I needed Stealth Rocks, and that's Omastar's priority this week, is use the Sash to get up rocks. If necessary, maybe go for Surf on a Rookodile as it comes in, or Darmanitan if you absolutely need to. Ice Beam on, I don't know, a Tapu Bulu, and use that Sash to get that attack off. But like the highest priority is going to be Stealth Rock. And then if I can, Shell Smash up and put some dents in his team. Looking at his team, he does not have a team that can take Surf from an Omastar. Like Quagsire, it has to respect the potential for HP Grass. It still doesn't even take the Surf that well. Logan Golem doesn't take it. Miss Majus doesn't take it. Vanilluxe maybe, but also what does it do back? Galar doesn't take it. Ambipom doesn't take it. Venusaur doesn't want an Ice Beam. Galvantula doesn't take anything. Crook and Darmanitan, they just don't do a lot. My speed, even if I'm timid max speed, I don't outspeed Scarf, Crook, or Darmanitan. So I outspeed the next fastest thing after a Shell Smash, which would be Scarf, I think base 280, what? I think base 289 mons. So yeah, that's why the speed is there, and the little bit of defense is in case you've got like a Shadow Sneak or something like that. So yeah, that's Omastar. And then the last mon, of course, is Circuitry. We're running Choice Scarf Circuitry again this week. Yes, we're running double Scarfers because I wanted to hit hard. I wanted to make sure I outsped his Scarfers if necessary and lead to potential like clean sweeps later in the game. I outspeed, the same sort of stuff that Omastar does after a Shell Smash. With this speed investment, I'm running Thunderbolt because solid stab. And late game, if things are weakened, I love to click Thunderbolt for the win. Dazzling Gleam because it hits Mega Latios, it hits Rookodile, it hits Galade, and it hits a lot of things for neutral as well. Whereas Signal Beam hits Rookodile, it hits Mega Latios, it hits Venusaur for neutral damage, which is pretty cool. And it hits a lot of other things for neutral damage, but it also hits Mew. And then Energy Ball, which also hits Rookodile, which, if you can't tell, I'm pretty concerned about Rookodile. And it hits Quagsire, which I can see being a switch, and it hits a Logan Golem. It hits a couple of his mons too. So with this coverage, I make him think whether or not he wants to switch, his Mega Latios on a potential Energy Ball, or to like resist the Energy Ball, or his Quagsire to, be immune to the Thunderbolt. And depending on which one it is, which coverage move I choose, he could potentially lose him on. So that's kind of mentality here. Now, Circuitry before Infernape probably will be used to weaken things if necessary, so that Infernape could clean up, I think, because Infernape outspeeds a lot more of his team. But outside of that, Circuitry could, definitely put some dents in the team. My biggest fears are Calm Mind Mega Latios, a Scarf Tapu Bulu, Scarf Darmanitan, and Webs, if I can't get rid of them. I need to make sure that Webs are not up on my field, otherwise so much of my team just becomes neutered. So that will be a priority of mine, is if he brings Galvantula, lead off with something that can beat Galvantula, as in tank one hit potentially, or hit it so that it can't get up those Webs for free. But that's all I've got for now. It's going to be a scary match, of course, because we're running hyper offense, and that means I have no switch-ins. I'm going to have to make doubles, I'm going to have to play aggressively, and the like. And yeah, I hope you guys are excited to see the match when it happens. But until then, this has been Midnight Zero, and this mission is complete.